Hey, what's up you guys? So I'm coming to you another video in my Maverick series, making videos really controversial kind of, so pretty much on my street videos talking about, you know what, like Civil War, and it's kind of appropriate, you know, we're here on Battlefield Las Vegas talking about Civil War, talking about how politically saturated we are. So I come and talk to some folks, see where they are, especially with things with Dark Brandon, things happening in North Dakota with that guy killing that 18-year-old teen. So we're going to talk to people, see what they feel about what's going on. So with that said, shall we begin? But first, of course, to be new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, the call sign's on, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So, current events, reviews, pop culture, social political commentary, be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe as it feeds the algorithm. So with that said, let's roll it.
The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Jesus, Lord and my Savior, every morning dawn you were faithful. I'm applauding your favor, you sought after the thoughts and hateful. I am caught in the gaze and I'm purely amazed you were more than able. Stable through all of my days, you were born in your grace, you were more than grateful. Face to the floor in worship for your mercy and all your greatness. Praising you, Lord, because you're certainly searching for all your stray kids. Wayward to the broken down, now living at the hope was drowned. But you hold us and you clothed us in Christ, you're giving us his robes and gown. I'm astounded by your goodness and the patient way you treat me. When amazing grace is so deep, seeing I felt you every day and weekly. But salvation is free for me, cause you paid completely, so sweetly you keep me. I'm a prodigal son and you came to meet me.
Sovereign God and King, you're faithful.
For the video,
you saved me from my sin, I stand held by your mighty hand. You are faithful, faithful. Sovereign God and Savior, faithful. And though I waver, you remain. Even on my darkest days, ever faithful, faithful.
Your ways are amazing and wondrous. You wake all the way with wanderers. Those who have walked away, in your grace you chase and come for us. The elect who were saved and yet in the days like pagan slumberers. Now with hearts hard to the Father and forget what the Saviour's done for us. Yet it's awful in fact, that was me, I was caught in a trap. I was torn but believe in the enemy's lies and falling for all of his chat. And of course he was sure to attack. I was asleep and snoring at that. But then I cried to the Lord who had bought me and you sought me and kept calling me back. Hallelujah. So I'm saved from my waywardness now, give you all the praise and glory.
hey, what's up you guys? So I'm here talking to people, seeing how they feel about the current situation, what's going on in the world and, you know, in politics. So do you feel like we are somewhat approaching a civil war? Maybe not like a hot civil war, but are tensions really high right now?
Definitely feel like we are on a trajectory towards some really crazy things happening in our country. I'm not sure if it'll ever reach like a hot war, but we definitely have a lot of tensions going around. But on the other hand, I also think that people like us, just normal, everyday, middle-class people, are the majority, and the media is making us feel like we're not.
Yeah, talking about the media, talking about like even Dark Brandon like a few weeks ago when his speech, how did you feel about his red like background? The left like to talk about us being fascist, but I think that looks more fascistic than anything. So what do you feel about that?
When I saw the still photos from that event, that was pretty crazy. It felt really dark, and we all know that politics is about messaging. And they run all these things through consultants first. And I'm like, how did they do that? Why did they end up doing it? Were they mocking us? Like, it was crazy. I thought that was pretty intense, because you know nothing gets approved without running through so many people first. So I thought that was pretty insane. Like and how CNN was trying to mute the colors. And you could see the progression of how they were trying to make it more pink than red. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah. And how crazy was the next day, Peter Doocy asked Biden, like, hey, what were your thoughts? Did you actually believe like we should denounce like Trump supporters? And he's like, I didn't say that.
But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. I don't consider any Trump supporter to be a threat to the country. I do think anyone who calls for the use of violence, fails to condemn violence when it's used, refuses to acknowledge when an election has been won.
Like, obviously, like, no one's telling him how to ride the bus or whatever, because...
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, they just deflect and deny and lie. That's all they do. Democrats are liars.
And last thing, I think, when this whole political tensions and everything, do you think it's still important to have friends who are on the left wing and then people who are left wing have right wing friends? Because I feel like sometimes a lot of people on the left tend to like unblock, unfriend, everything on people who are conservative or outside of their circle. So do you think it's important not to live inside an echo chamber, be in a bubble?
It's definitely important to not be in an echo chamber. However, when they're the ones doing it to you, you kind of can't help it. Like I want to reach a lot of people and they want to shut you out. And there's actually been surveys and studies done that Republicans are actually more open-minded than Democrats. Yeah. And you can actually see it with the way social media exists right now, with the way the tech oligarchs have to shut us down. Like, they're the ones setting the example to all the crazy base, and they're the ones that shut us out, not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for talking. So I enjoyed this conversation. So have a great day. Thanks. Cool. All right, so hey, what's up, you guys? So we're here at Ahern Hotel. Again, I'm here asking folks what do they think about what's going on in the current situation as far as if there's a hot civil war or just even a civil war, an informational civil war with things so political, so heated, so politicized, and so polarized. It's more like a media-driven, right? And so like they need something to drive this midterm election on. So if without Trump, they kind of need some evil thing, like what Dark Brandon saying at the Independence Hall, you got MAGA extremists, right? And so it's less about even that being true, but galvanizing the base, right? And so it's just kind of unfortunate because I was talking to people like in students, they feel like even if they're not political, they had to like pick one side or other on certain topics, and it's like not being nuanced is a thing now. Like you have to be left or right on a subject, or you get canceled if you have the wrong idea, right? And so what else do you think as far as how we can better navigate what's going on? Like obviously have these discussions because a lot of the things right now is saying like, again, like delete your friends or cancel, silence your people. So what do you think about like having these open discussions with people on other sides?
I think the whole cancel culture movement is ridiculous. We need to have open conversation, whether we agree or not. I was telling you before I was watching a speech from Mike Pompeo this morning that he was talking about fighting with enemies and fighting with friends. And he said, you fight enemies, that creates wars. Yeah. You have a winner and a loser. Yeah. And you fighting with friends, you try to negotiate and persuade, but you're still friends. Yeah. You can have differences of opinion, and we need to encourage that. And it's okay to have a difference of opinion. Yeah. And work through that. And I think that's where society really needs to get back to, and get rid of the whole woke movement. Yeah. And get back to having discussions around the dinner table as well.
Yeah, I think that's very important, especially just for ourselves even, right? Because you can have people in the echo chamber on either side, and to have other people's voices, I think that is still good to have these conversations going, and even if there is nuance in certain discussions, right? And so I know you're running for a campaign. If you want to give a shout out to what you're running and the district you're running and all that good stuff. So
my name's Kelly Quinn. I'm running for Nevada State Assembly District 5. District 5 is the Spring Valley area, pretty much from Alta down to Russell, Rainbow up to Wallapai. And I'm looking forward to serving my community there and representing in legislature, making a difference where I can.
Cool. Well, thank you for the discussion. I appreciate it, and good luck to you and your campaign.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, what's up? Just again, I'm here asking folks, how do they feel about current situation as far as, do you think it's polarized with the current environment? Do you think everyone is so political nowadays? How do you feel what's going on?
I agree that it's polarized. I think it's been more polarized than it's ever been before. And like for me, at like, you know, like during the pandemic, I lost track of what was going on because I just couldn't like handle all of the stress of it. And you know, like I personally, like I'm very done with that feeling of like it being polarized, and that feeling of like, you know, it feels really important to people like what your political leanings are. And like I also feel like it doesn't define my identity. Like the way that I vote doesn't define who I am as a person. Like I define myself with other things that are like more important to me. Yeah. And that's kind of why I've dropped off some of the the political kind of radar. Sure. I guess. Yeah. And so yeah, I think it is really polarized.
So with me, I think we should still be in a state where we can have, if you're right wing, you should have left wing friends. If you're left wing, you should have right wing friends. Do you agree, or do you think we are so far gone that people can't associate with people who have different politics?
I actually do agree with that, because I think that's part of what might fix it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To have people from the other side.
Yeah, yeah, and like for me, I'm friends with people who are not my political leaning, and I think that's valuable, and it's valuable to see somebody else's perspective as well. Yeah. And to be aware of that, and to kind of understand the other perspective, so that you can have your beliefs, but then also let other people have theirs.
Yeah, and I guess one last thing is, some people are talking about like there's a political civil war, just as in the beginning I was saying, things are becoming so polarized. People are saying a civil war. It's not going to be like the 1800s where you line up and all together, but I think people are saying some political violence is happening. Are you seeing that? Because you're saying you're not really following anything, but do you think we're at that point, or you're not even seeing that?
I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, I can see where that comes from. I think that in like everyday life, it doesn't happen. So I think that in order for that to be the case, it would have to be like, okay, you run into this, you're just like walking down the street, which you don't. So I think maybe it might, I don't know if it would come to that or not, but I don't think we're quite at that point yet.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the conversation. It was good to have this talk.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you. Yeah.
All right, so hey, what's up, you guys? So we're here at CSUN talking about what is going on in the world as far as, in politics and in culture and in current events, and pretty much I kind of want to talk to you, some students here at CSUN. What do they feel about, is things so political nowadays? Like, do you think everything is just so in your face with politics? What do you guys think?
I do kind of agree with that. I feel like things are always like in your face a lot, and like you're always kind of having to choose, like you have to come up with the answer right on the spot, because everyone wants to answer about every question. Especially with social media, it gets really kind of either intoxicating that you feel like you have to pick sides. But for me personally, I feel like whatever you choose, that's like your own opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, as long as at the end of the day, no one's being malicious or have any ill intent towards each other. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with her. A lot of the politics are actually in our face with social media and everything. For example, a really big one is the abortion rules, and like how like every state is different and really touchy about that subject. Me personally, like if you're pro-life, pro-choice, honestly, it's pro-mind your business. That's in my opinion. But at the end of the day, like I think people should like be more open-minded about everyone's opinion, and just not force each other to like look at one view a certain way, yeah. And it just creates like this whole chaos, and that's where people go wrong most of the time.
Yeah,
I like what you said as far as when it comes to certain topics or whatever, we're kind of like forced to pick a side. Sometimes like I don't know, like I'm maybe in the middle about it, and so like I kind of agree with that as far as like sometimes you haven't made a stance and you might be in the middle, or like you may not be totally 100% either side, right? And so as I think, and I'm going to cut this out. And, another question I was asking you earlier before the camera was rolling, like, should we have, like, friends who are on either party, however you affiliate, I think one thing that we're starting to see nowadays is that you kind of, like, only, like, left-wing people have to hang out with left-wing, or right-wing people have to hang out with right-wing people. I think that's what's causing like not having discussions like we're having right now. So do you agree with that? Should we kind of like hear other people's perspectives and have people who, and not necessarily cut if they're toxic, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. But like you were saying, if they're not vicious or whatever, but like should we still continue to have conversations with people who we disagree with?
Definitely. Like we need to first put our opinions out there, and whatever we stand for, we should be proud of what we stand for. But again, like how I said, it shouldn't be based off of like malicious intent. And like literally forgot I had something so good. Hold on. Let me think.
While you think about that, what do you think? And then she'll probably capture.
Yeah.
I think everyone should be around everyone, you know. It's always good to not be in an ignorant standpoint of view and always just learning from each other. So whether you're just staying in like left wing or right wing, like I think everyone should be, you know, be surrounded with each other so we can all learn from one another and just, you know, experiencing knowledge, honestly, you know. Yeah.
So you remember?
Yeah, I remember now. So basically, like, people need to practice more empathy, and like obviously, like, not everyone goes through the same exact things and events in life. So I feel like if we have more appreciation and we can like actually, you know, see from each other's points of view and like not feel like we need to be in their shoes, but like at least try to understand and respect people's sides of it, then we can get to a common understanding that there doesn't need to be like this whole like you need to be on this side, you need to be on this side. It's more of like you need to respect everyone's like opinion and like where they stand, and just don't be like disrespectful about it.
Yeah. Any last things? So one thing that I kind of want to touch on is, I don't know, have you guys following what maybe people are saying on Twitter and stuff like that? That there's like a civil war. It's not like going to be like a 1800s civil war where we're like shooting guns at each other. But some people are getting a little bit violent. And do you, as folks who are maybe not necessarily in current events, do you see that happening already, or you're not even tracking that?
Yeah, you definitely see it a lot on Twitter and like social media, especially Twitter. People like, you know, chit-chat all the time. I think what's happening now that people are becoming more aware and, you know, recognizing the problem that we have to face and trying to move forward with that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's too much hate in the world right now. We all just need to like come together instead of like separating. And I feel like that's obviously what the higher power wants. They all want us to like not come together and not be respectful of each other's backgrounds, whether it's like race, religion, sexual orientation, gender. All those things matter and it's important. Everyone should feel like there's a community for them. So we all need to be like a whole community again and not just attack each other.
Cool. I think this was a cool conversation just to touch base on where everything is in the current events and everything. So thanks for having a quick discussion.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Awesome.